Hi everybody, my name is Jessie and I do perfume reviews in ASMR format. So if you enjoy perfume and also ASMR, you are in a good place for our video today. Alright, so today I'm doing a review of Mizensir's Edition de Veronique. I'm going to use this opportunity to get a cat hair out of my eyelash. Oh my gosh. But yeah, here's the bottle. As you can see, it's got this nice plaque that has weathered a little bit. I did purchase this bottle off of Mercari used, so I'm really not sure how old the bottle is. I could look up the batch, but anyway, I really do love these Mizensir bottles. I think they're very classic, classy, and high quality looking. My only issue is that you can only buy them in this 100 milliliter size, so you could just have to go for the big one. Otherwise, I almost always purchase more like a 30 ml size because I have so many fragrances that I just can't get through them. And as you can see, the juice is pretty clear. I will later in the video tell you a little bit about my other Mizensir fragrance. This is Musk Eternal. I did purchase this from their website. I think it was the most expensive fragrance I have ever purchased because I didn't buy it used or anything. But I'm really happy with it. I really love both of these fragrances, and so I'll talk about this one later. But yeah, let's go ahead and start off by talking about Edition de Veronique. I'll spray this in a minute, but this is a very fresh, clean, kind of green rose fragrance. So as you can see, I dressed on theme. I wore this kind of light sage green. It's got a little bit of almost floral or leaf detail. And then I also wore pink earrings. So I felt like that was kind of a good, some good colors for this. Maybe I could have done a pink shirt and green earrings, but it is, to me, it's definitely a slightly aromatic green, soapy clean rose. So I'll go ahead and give it a spray. Our little card today looks like an iris. Thought I heard my daughter might be waking up from a nap, but my husband is home, so if she is, he will take care of that. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and give it a spray. And I have owned this fragrance for, I don't know, maybe almost a year. I had a sample for probably almost a year before that, and I was kind of on the fence for a while of, do I want to purchase a bottle of it or not? But I decided to go ahead and purchase a bottle. I heard about this fragrance initially from, oh my gosh, I don't know what's her name, but her channel, I think it's called A Room with Perfume. I don't want to misquote. A Room with Perfume. Yeah, Elizabeth Grace, A Room with Perfume. She has TikTok and YouTube. So I heard about this one originally from her, but I was able to get some samples from Mizensir's website when I bought a candle a couple years ago. And I did get a sample of this, as well as this one, and yeah, I decided I do really like the Edition de Veronique, and yeah, had that for a while, and then went ahead and bought the bottle on Mercari. But anyway, credit to Elizabeth Grace, A Room with Perfume, because that's how I heard about this, and she has always described it as a beautiful triple French milled rose soap. And it does smell like a beautiful rose soap. So yeah, what I get right off the bat is definitely rose, very clean rose, a bit soapy, with some kind of fresh, yeah, almost like green touches. But it really does smell a bit like a very nice natural bar of rose soap. So if that's not your deal, you might not like this. But I really like rose, and I really like bars of rose soap, so this definitely works for me. Okay, so I'll go ahead and read you the main accords that we have listed on Fragrantica. Okay, so we have rose, woody, aromatic, iris, sorry, cat hairs, fresh, spicy, white floral, powdery, floral, amber, musky. So there's quite a few accords listed there. I don't necessarily get all of those or agree with the order. I would say I definitely get rose. I get aromatic. Woody is not prominent. In fact, I don't remember what woody notes are in here, but to me they're not very prominent. Iris is not super prominent either. To me, it's definitely musky, but it leans like a very clean soapy musk versus like a powdery makeupy powder puff musk, if that makes sense. It's definitely more of the soapy musk, not the powdery musk. I don't remember, it says fresh spicy. I don't really remember any spicy notes in here, or fresh spicy, but yeah. Let's go ahead and look at the notes. I think they're pretty simple. I don't think there's that many. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so, and this is according to Fragrantica, so hopefully this matches their website. But anyway, we have two top notes, and they are florals. They are rose as well as jasmine. The jasmine does make sense, but to me it almost reads, it's like a white floral, reads almost a little more like lily of the valley or just something very like crisp and clean. It's not an obvious jasmine to me, but I can see there being like a white floral component. To me it reads a little more like a lily of the valley, a very crisp, clean white floral, but I definitely get the rose. So rose standing out for sure, like a dewy, clean, soapy rose. Okay, then for our middle notes, we've got two middle notes, and they are juniper and iris. So the juniper is, I believe what's giving a bit of like green aromatic smell. Definitely makes it lean a little bit more cool tone. It just smells very like invigorating and clean. So I do get a bit of that. Iris, not in an obvious way. And, sometimes iris can come off as kind of like woody, or not woody, kind of like earthy. This iris, if anything, would be much more of like a clean, refined iris. Okay, then for our base notes, we've got two base notes, and they are amberwood and white musk. So I'm definitely getting the musk, and again, it's like a soapy clean musk. Amberwood, not standing out so much to me. There's nothing about this fragrance that's really like ambery or like woody to me, or I guess the most I would say in terms of woody is like the juniper, but it's very much to me like the juniper needles, the green part, and not like the bark, if that makes sense. So it really doesn't come across as woody to me. So what I get most, I would say I get rose, musk, juniper, jasmine. Those are like the top four that I get. I'll go ahead and show you the note or the breakdown, the votes on Fragrantica. Other people say they get rose, juniper, iris, jasmine, amberwood, musk. So apparently they get musk last. And like I said, to me I get a musk, but it's much more of like a soapy musk. So It's not really powdery at all to me. I'm gonna go ahead and Google this fragrance, see if I feel like it might list slightly different notes on the Mizensir's website, so I'm just curious to see what it says. Okay. Sorry, I'm like out of breath just because of pregnancy, but it's like always weird. I'm like, okay, it says on Mizensir's website, mellow notes of white musk, rose, jasmine sambac, and a wash of freshness. Rounded out by smoky iris and woody green cade wood. I don't know what cade wood is, but it says woody green cade wood. So that is a little bit different than the notes listed on Fragrantica, but kind of whatever's on Fragrantica kind of makes sense in my mind. Cade wood essential oil. I'm looking at it. Oh, I think it might be juniper. I think it might be like the juniper wood. Kind of looks like that. So, yeah, that makes sense. But to me, it definitely comes off more like the green leaves, the green needles of the juniper, and not so much like woody. It's definitely more fresh and like airy and crisp to me. But yeah, really beautiful fragrance. I would say it leans feminine, but it's definitely somewhat unisex because it's just a very clean, fairly simple kind of smell. But I would say still definitely leans feminine. So we'll go over some other info on this fragrance on Fragrantica in a second, but I'll go ahead and just tell you briefly about Mizensir's Musk Eternal. This was the first bottle that I owned, and these are the only two that I have, but I bought this bottle probably 2 or so years ago because I had quite a few samples from the brand, and this one grew on me. It was the sort of fragrance that when I first smelled it, I was like, that is too much. It's too powdery. It's very powdery. It's a very feminine, makeup-y, powdery kind of scent, like vintagey, bombshell, glamour, 50s pinup. Yeah, this is my mind at least. This is what this smells like. So when I smelled it initially, when I had the sample probably like 3 years ago or whatever, I was like, that's too much for me. But it's just kind of grown on me, this sort of scent profile. So I did wind up purchasing a bottle, and I do really like it. It's extremely potent. I find that 1 spray, maybe 2 sprays, is definitely enough. I spray on clothing though, so it lasts longer when you spray on clothing. It also changes the scent profile just a little bit versus skin. But anyway, like 1-2 sprays on clothing is definitely enough. So like I literally don't know how I could ever get through this bottle. Literally ever. But yeah, let me tell you just briefly about the notes for this fragrance. So I told you the profile, powdery, kind of sweet, like kind of slightly vanillic, floral, makeup-y powder, glamour vibe. And the notes that are listed on Fragrantica are, again, we have a rose, as well as iris and jasmine. So we have those 3 again. And also hawthorn. Then we have, in the base, we have musk and tonka bean. But it all comes through a lot. Like, this one is very, like, soapy clean, a little more, like, effervescent. This one's definitely more powdery, and it has more of a vanilla, for sure, like a hearty vanilla base. Like, it says tonka bean. To me, it would make sense if there's, like, an actual vanilla note as well. But yeah, and like honestly, it makes sense if there was like a couple more florals in here, like perhaps violet, or maybe another like white floral or something. But yeah, powdery florals, musk, and like a kind of vanilla tonka bean accord. So not for the faint of heart. Definitely not a safe blind buy. Get yourself a sample. Because, yeah, especially because these fragrances are very expensive. But anyway, I really do like this fragrance. I think it's beautiful. So that is Musk Eternal. And there's a few other fragrances that are a bit similar to this one in the line. Like one that comes to mind, just like kind of similar, is called Luxury. And the other that's kind of similar is called Elixir de Musk. That one's definitely a lighter take. The Elixir de Musk is kind of like this, but very much toned down, lighter, just a little more simple, almost a little closer to like a skin scent. Okay, everybody, so going back to Edition de Veronique, just looking at some other info from Fragrantica. This has an overall rating of 3.87 out of 5, only having 70 votes, so it's not one that people have purchased and voted on a whole lot. This is definitely a niche brand, you know, it's expensive, so yeah. And that's like a decent rating. It's kind of just mid-range, so people seem to like this, but I guess they're not crazy about it. It was launched in 2015, so it's been out for 10 years. And for longevity, people are rating it to have like a weaker longevity, more on the lighter side. I would agree with that. I think because I spray on clothing, I can definitely smell it several hours in, but it definitely fades, it gets weaker, and it's overall, I just do not find it to have a strong projection. I find it to be subtle, so it'd be a good work scent, you know, a scent for when you're not trying to smell strongly. Maybe you just want to smell clean or a bit laundry-like. Sillage users on Fragrantica say it's on the more intimate side. I agree, it does not project very obviously. It just doesn't smell like a bang perfume, you know? It's more of like it's a nice clean scent. For gender, people are rating it as more female, but like, yeah, a little bit leaning unisex. And for price value, people are saying it's overpriced. I agree. I think it's a little overpriced, but you know, you're paying for the brand, you're paying for the bottle. Fragrances can get expensive, but I have two perfumes that I can tell you are a bit similar to this. One is called Pleats Please Low. So it's the low flanker of Pleats Please by Issey Miyake. That one it's a fresh green rose. And then the other one that is similar, I believe, don't quote me, I believe it's called Blossom, I think it's called Rose Goldia Blossom Delight by Bulgari. Let's see. Rose Goldia Blossom Delight. Yes, that's the one by Bulgari. And if I had to, is that right? Well, I hope that's it. It was definitely something by Bulgari, but anyway, if it's this one, then I would say it does smell very similar. Very similar. So this would be the closest dupe that I've ever found, is the Rose Goldia Blossom Delight. I'm just trying to see if there's something else. Oh, there's a Blossom Delight Eau de Toilette as well. Okay, maybe it's that one. It might be the Rose Goldia Blossom Delight Eau de Toilette. There's so many different types of fragrances. By Bulgari. I think this one might be it, because I remember, yeah, it has Lily of the Valley, grapefruit, so it's almost like a very fresh, it was one of those. Anyway. Okay, I think that's everything I wanted to tell you about this. Oh, as always, let me read a couple reviews of this fragrance. That's how I always end. Oh, well, let's go ahead and read my review, because I like very rarely leave reviews on fragrances on Fragrantica, but for whatever reason, I decided to do a review. I said, I find this to be a light, soapy, aromatic rose scent, very clean and slightly cool tone, likely from the juniper. The juniper also gives a slightly aromatic, outdoorsy, natural feel. I would say this is more musky than powdery. I also get small touches of iris and jasmine, but mostly rose. It projects slightly, which I enjoy, but also fades over several hours. After about 5 hours, I can smell it on my clothing only very faintly, but overall I really like the scent. I find it to be very clean, subtle, sophisticated, and classic. I left that review November 2024. Okay, let's go ahead and read another couple reviews. Somebody says, an absolutely underrated beauty. My favorite rose fragrance with soft but surprisingly good lasting power. Fresh yet slightly powdery. Absolutely stunning. I'll be terribly sad if they ever discontinue it. Okay, and then somebody else says, I've been testing this for a couple days. It comes off very, very soapy, powdery musk. This reminds me of a Dove soap bar, and I'm trying to hate the fragrance. I'm trying not to hate the fragrance. It's just a soap bar in a bottle. I mean, I could see that. It does have a very soapy smell, so I could see that. Let's see. Somebody else says, sublime, suave, beautiful feminine perfume. A fine production of Alberto Morillas. A fine production of Morillas. Let's read one more. Somebody says, it's fascinating how different my experience with this fragrance is compared to other reviewers below. On me, there is something fruity, girly, or powdery about this scent. It opens with a lush aromatic rose bouquet, then settles down into somewhat dirty musk with a mild iris patchouli undertone. I quite like it, but not enough to get a full bottle. It doesn't settle down to me something dirty, but I could almost see what they're saying. Like, it definitely has like a natural smell to it. A little bit woody, a little bit aromatic green, but yeah, I don't get dirty personally. Okay, everybody, so that's Mizensir's addition to Veronique. I hope you all enjoyed the review. And yeah, I will catch you all again soon. Sending you all peace, love, beauty, and harmony. Okay, bye.